around this time. And so we chose this time of year to remember the school's founding. And you might note that it took 12 years for the school to be founded, and that has a lot to do with his ambitions to found a school didn't quite match the amount of money that he left in his will, and so they decided to invest the money, and the Civil War also interrupted the timing of things. But by the time 1867 came around, they felt they had enough capital to start the school. And MBA was actually in 3 locations, as you see, in downtown Nashville from 1867 to 1915. And the school then decided that, sort of like the city of Nashville, which initially started in East Nashville and then moved toward downtown, and then you could argue moved toward Midtown and more west of that. The school then decided to buy this property and moved here in 1915. The advertisement was that we would have a country school for city boys, which seems sort of odd right now because, this area doesn't really seem like the country, but it was, at the time, much more so the country. And between 1915 and 2004, although we did some building and developed this campus some, it wasn't really until 2004 that things really had begun to be reshaped and developed. We were gifted, or we purchased, the 42nd Avenue Fields in 2004. We were gifted Long Mountains property. We were able to buy some homes on the south end of the campus, 15 of them, and the city and neighborhood allowed us to encapsulate those properties into the campus, and we gained about another 10 acres. So where you have that internal drive and the tennis courts, that used to be houses there, and the city allowed us to have that internal road. It would alleviate some parking and traffic around the school, so that was part of why the neighbors thought, well, this is a good idea. And then we built the parking garage, the Lowry building, the dining hall between 2010 and 13. We were able to purchase all of the property around the church, the Vine Street Christian Church, and we were able to add a parking lot, as you know, and we also did a lot of renovation work on the Davis building. Then we decided to do more work up at Long Mountain with the cabins and the yurts and the pavilion, and then of late we were able to build this building and renovate the stadium and to build a new Andrews Field to the west. And so here's a kind of an older picture of MBA. You see the Curry Gym still in that picture. And then the next shot, I think, is an aerial photo now showing you how different the campus looks. One of the significant changes I didn't really comment on was the front entrance of the campus off Harding Road. There was no entrance from Harding Road until 2000. And that, I think, also has made a significant difference in the campus. Next slide. Dhruv is going to make some comments. We have a senior make some comments at Founders Day, so please join me in welcoming Dhruv.
It was a dark week when my parents told me that I was going to be going to MBA. I was just really afraid, leaving behind my entire life and all my friends I'd gone to elementary and middle school with for like the past 7 years, and even this girl I was crushing on. Tragic, I know. Anyways, the switch to MBA was as daunting as I expected. As the only student in all of MBA from my old school, I knew no one. yet everyone else already seemed to know one another, mostly coming from schools like Oak Hill, Overbrook, St. Paul, and Harding. But the first thing I soon noticed was that this place seemed to be more than just a school. Rather, it was a community where every student was encouraged to follow each and every one of their passions. It's a supportive environment where each individual doesn't have to be just an athlete or just a scholar or just an artist. Here, I can be a part of the jazz and rock bands, while I bond with a newfound family on the soccer team as we take on each grueling match together and get hyped in the locker room, with Elon Paez and Bennett Tidwell grittying while our captain Diego Escobar takes a wonderful nap. I get to learn so much about the Hispanic community and their culture through the Opening Doors ESL program, while I get to nerd out on the chess team or while writing poetry in the Red Poets Society. Starting off my time on the Hill knowing literally no one except Miss Lecklider because I met her at admissions preview day, I've created so many strong friendships that I'm confident will persist many, many years into the future. And in most normal settings, I wouldn't have even met these people. It was only through the realization of our shared interests through these extracurricular opportunities. Repeatedly, for a variety of events, meetings, and reunions, I've heard this question asked to many students. What do you cherish most about your time at MBA? And without fail, the answer I've most consistently heard is the relationships and the bonds that are built between the students, and the sense of brotherhood and camaraderie that gets fostered here on the Hill. I'm so grateful that I've been able to be a part of this community and this journey and just the whole culture here. A place that celebrates such multifaceted students, a place that prepares young men to be well-versed in a variety of areas for life, a place that teaches you how to actively balance your life and live with a purpose, a place with such long-standing traditions like today's race that help bring us all together. MBA fosters a community where it's less about competing against each other, but rather competing with each other against the rigor of MBA itself. As my time here on the Hill dwindles to a close, I can't help but reflect on all the memories I've made here at MBA and realize how blessed I truly am and have been these past 6 years. Thank you. And now you're going to hear a piece by the Ellington Band called Vehicle.
Thanks very much to the Ellington Band and Mr. Frederick for your help. I wanted to talk briefly about Van Webb, whom we've named this race for. Meaningful personally to me, I taught Van. He was a gifted student. He loved poetry. He wrote, I think in Mr. Moxley's class, maybe a paper on Jack Kerouac. Am I right about that? And so deeply into literature and life and athletics. He was a great runner. So it seemed appropriate after Van passed away at Vanderbilt. He had developed cancer, and it just took him down when he was a junior at Vanderbilt. And then we named the race after him. And he's had a lot of family at MBA, including an uncle who was board chair. So it just was a great moment to remember Van, and continues to be a great moment with this race. Next is, I believe, a film clip, if I'm right. Yes.
Gentlemen, would you draw back, please, away from the course? Thank you. Mr. Abrahams, your position, please. Owing to the absence of any other challenger, Mr. Abrahams will run alone.
Mr. Stanner!
Your name and college, if you please, sir.
Lindsay. I raced beside my friend here. We challenged in the name of Repton, Eton, and Keith.
I didn't know you ran.
Nor are you. Some chap told me about this shindig over breakfast. I thought I'd come and push you along a bit, huh?
Delighted.
Splendid.
Good luck. Gentlemen, to your marks, if you please. Now remember, on the first strike of 12.
How many of you seen the film Chariots of Fire? A relatively small number. It's a film worth seeing. It won a lot of recognition. So it is obviously the inspiration for the race. The race in the film was supposedly at Cambridge University. And you might remember one of the characters saying, you know, I run this race in honor of Eton. He named a few other places. So he went to Eton, that character, and the actual film footage is at Eton. In fact, our England trip went to Eton over spring break, and they saw this quadrangle named after King Henry VI. And so it's fun to go visit there and kind of remember this film and this scene. I have been in meetings, so I haven't been outside, which is simply to say that I'm going to have to make a race time decision about how the quad is in terms of the race. If not, we'll have to move to the track. But I'll go out there, obviously, momentarily. So we sort of have as you can see perhaps on this map, the juniors are over by the Carter Building, the 10th grade more by the Ball Building, 7th and 8th grade at the west end of the quad, the 9th and the seniors on the east side there. And the 4 runners today are Cayman, Andrew, Powell, and Colton. Let's give them a round of applause. And Mr. Frederick's helping us with bells, so we have to kind of engineer the bells so that you'll hear those Westminster chimes, which are 4 sounds, and then 4 times to suggest, we're going to now ring the bells on the hour, and at the stroke of 1, after the Westminster chimes, the race will begin, just as you saw in the film. So let's go out to the quad now and see if we can do it.